Former top managers of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust SSNIT are staring at the risk of being slapped with a charge of causing financial loss to the state. As it has emerged, they purchased the wrong automation system. This is one of the major reasons that led to the ballooning of the cost of the project from an initial $34 million to more than $70 million. There's been huge public uproar following an announcement by the current management to probe circumstances leading to the award of the contract that was to develop efficient IT solutions for SSNIT's operation. JoyNews' editor Evans Mensah has been studying the agreement and digging some more into what caused the increase in the contract cost. Now he joins me in the studio. Evans, you've been studying this document. It looks really nice. It makes you look like a scholar, sort of. Before we go into the details of it, tell us a bit about the background to the story. How did we get here?
So it's in 2011, SSNIT decided that they're going to use part of their budgetary allocation, to fund the supply, installation, and commissioning of Social Security Pensions Administration system. A complete solution on a turnkey basis towards the complete automation of all SSNIT processes. I mean, so the turnkey basis essentially was whichever company wanted to do it will come fund it themselves, and then when it's done and completely hand over to SSNIT, and then they take their compensation. And the intentions were really great, to provide superior services to customers through the implementation of multiple service delivery channels, implement an integrated operational suite, but ultimately, if you are a pensioner right now, your key concern will be quick processing of my claims. Sometimes it takes a long time. They wanted to roll this out so that they can help deal with that, so they fast track the processing of claims, but also reduce corruption. So the intentions behind it were fantastic. Right. Now,
let's fast forward to where we are at the moment.
So to do this, they had to, but this is a very expensive project. You have to make sure it's competitively tendered for. So they open a competitive tendering, put it in the dailies here and also on The Economist magazine. At the end of the day, 10 companies submitted bids. The least of the bids came from PESL, which put in a bid of $3.8 million. In fact, they're the only company that quoted the SSNIT, so it was at 17.4 million cedis. The next, the second least in terms of cost was put forward by Sambos, which was at $9.8 million. Now, these two did not win the contract. They didn't win the bid, but Perfect Business Systems and Silver Lake Consortium did. Now, if you look,
you run a bit too fast with the names. Just so for the benefit of our audience, let's go over the names again for us. The names of those who bid and who won.
So 10 companies are now bid for the contract. Right. I can mention all the 10 and what.
Well, the two that you highlighted being the lowest.
Yes. Right. So the lowest was PESL. That came in, put in a bid of 17.4 million cedis, which is 3.8 million.
3.8 million.
After PESL came Sambos in terms of the cost alone. Sambos had put in a bid of $9.8 million. The company that actually won is Perfect Business Systems and Silver Lake Consortium. They had put in a bid of $27.6 million. In the end, there was sort of a tender evaluation committee put in place that will assess all these companies based on a set criteria. And the criteria, they had 21 of them in all that you had to meet. It includes things like valid SSNIT clearance certificate, experience in doing this before, a lot of them, 21 in all. Now, when they did the assessment, let's take the PESL, because PESL came in with the lowest bid in terms of money.
$3.8 million.
$3.8 million. PESL ticked all the 21 boxes, ticked all the boxes with the exception of one. And that one being power of attorney. And if you look at the explanation that was offered by the tender committee in terms of why PESL was not given the thing, it says, no back-to-back power of attorney with the partners cited in the tender submission. No power of attorney issued to the person who signed documents presented by PESL. So that was the reason why they didn't get the bid. Now, I said some was also offered, you know, a bid of 9.8 million. They also ticked all the boxes, but also failed to meet audited accounts for the past 2 years, and also had a question over power of attorney. Now, the company that won the bid, though, that presented a bid of 27 million, that is Perfect Business Systems and Silver Lake Consortium, met all the 27, you know, they ticked all the boxes. But they were not the only company that did that. 2 companies did. Themselves and B Systems Phase Technologies also ticked all the boxes. Except that B Systems had put in a bid of 31 million.
Which was beyond
the
what Perfect Business Systems was providing.
Exactly. And so they got Perfect Systems got the contract. I've heard today people ask questions about, I mean, if Pesol, for example, had brought in a bid of 3.8, because 3.8 and 27, the gap is quite wide. It's 8 times more. And the issue is about the power of attorney documents not signed, and you're interested in seeing if you can get them. Can you not call them and say, can you get your power of attorney document signed so that we can consider? I mean, those are questions you can ask, but for the tender evaluation committee, that wasn't the issue. There was a criteria: meet it or you don't. You don't meet it,
you're out.
And so that was the case. And then the interesting bit that we've discovered that makes this interesting was that, you remember that I said the company, the Perfect Business Systems, had put in a bid of 27 million. By the time they were signing the contract in November 2012, they actually signed a contract worth $34 million. But if you look at the breakdown, by the time they were signing, they had additional elements that were added. So, for example, a 14% contingency of 3.6 million was added. That that raised the figure, and VAT and HIL of 3.9 million also was added. So all came down to 34 billion. But remember that we are talking now about 72 million.
70, yes.
So the question then becomes, between 2012 and 2017, what happened? That we signed a contract, because remember, this is a 10-key project. So if you say you're going to do this for us at 34 million, and we sign a contract for that, so you have to put the system in place. When it's complete, you hand it over to us, we give you the 34 million, and you go away.
So there shouldn't be any cost for us to pay more, basically.
Yes, absolutely. But we're talking about 72 million. So the question then became, how did we get here? 72 million. Then we established, and the documents actually prove this, that over the period, over the 2012 to 2017, what was happening was this. The equipments that we had specified that we wanted, I meant SSNIT.
SSNIT.
when equipment was submitted by, and remember, Perfect Business Systems had a partner in Malaysia. They were actually providing the equipment and the hardware, etc.
So then, what was Perfect Business System doing? There was just
they're partners. So no, they're partners. So it's a partnership. So they bid together. That's why you need the power of attorney. So if you have a partner in Malaysia, they just give a power of attorney to represent them. That this is a representative. So they did it together. Over the period that they were implementing this, it turns out that the initial specifications that we had submitted for the equipment and the entire IT infrastructure was set up, and now we started implementing, we realized that there were challenges with it. In essence, it boiled down to what we had requested did not meet the expectation, the standard, capacity. It was not fit for purpose, let's put it that way. I mean, so a typical example, initially, the server we got was an HP server that was processing a few thousand transactions per hour. But what we needed was a server that would process something in the region of 10 million transactions an hour. And
okay, well, you won't be able to answer this question anyway. I was going to ask, did we know this? Did SSNIT not know this? Was it not obvious from the get-go?
So that is at the heart of the question. And the answer I have received is, it appears that at the beginning, when SSNIT was specifying what they wanted, the technical guys didn't quite appreciate the magnitude of what they were entering into. So they thought, and I want to break this down. You're going to school, you needed a computer. But maybe you're going to MIT to study some very complex course that requires a certain memory processing power. Then you have gone for a computer that, say, has 5 gigabytes.
Pentium 2.
Whatever. And then you go to school, and you start using it and realize that, oh goodness, you've
need-
already bought it.
Yeah.
Right? What I need is Pentium 10. But I've already spent money on Pentium 2.
Okay.
The only thing you can do is to go and buy Pentium 10.
Really? But you could still go into an agreement where you could do some kind of a top-up and do some exchange.
Well,
Did that happen in this case?
That's why we are talking about 72 million. So they kept on going back to the purchasers to ask for, to issue change, they call it change orders. Change orders and say, yes, we said, for example, the HP server I talked about, it's now sitting at SSNIT, not in use.
Doing nothing.
Because we had moved it, we saw that it wasn't working. In fact, they have an IBM system that I'm told, which is top range, latest technology, and that is functioning quite efficiently now. But by the time we got there recently, we kept on going back and forth. Any time we had gone for, we're changing, this is not working for us, the supplier will bill us for more. In fact, if you read the change orders, in one case, we were paying in excess of, so one change order, for example, when it went back, they billed us $1.2 million.
Which year was this? Do we know?
And this is 2013.
2013.
Remember that we started implementing this in 2013. In January, from December 2012.
So this is November 2013.
This is November 2013. So
and the contract itself started
in January.
In January
2013. In effect.
So less than a year.
Yeah, we had gone back and said the thing isn't functioning properly. So we asked for this is specifically, and this is the itemized list of what we wanted. If you
could just read what we have here, it's quite short. We
refer to your pro forma invoices dated 11th and 6th November 2013 for the supply and installation of specified hardware for digitization of critical legacy documents in accordance with clause 33D of the general conditions of contract, which we have, and it's very complex. It's actually saying that if you realize that you can come back, right? Yeah. But you have to be billed for it. We issue a change order for you to supply and install the specified hardware at the total cost of that.
Which is,
and the breakdown is a lot of the stuff they were asking for here was originally provided in the original thing.
Right.
So at this stage, it was 1.2 million. Then they had to go back. Look at the dates.
2013, November 2013.
Then they went back again. This is June 2014. This time,
less than a year.
For $10.2 million. Wow. Okay. So over time, we had, and this is not the only one. They went back. We have documents to prove they did change orders for 4 times. So that's how over time we had arrived at 72 million.
Moved from 3 million thereabouts to 7 point.
We moved from initial contract sum of $34 million to $72 million. So fundamentally, there's a concern. The other big question that we need to ask ourselves, and another thing though, this is a social, we run a social security system, okay? So the software and the IT infrastructure that we needed was an IT infrastructure that could process social security transactions. However, the IT infrastructure that we secured was one that was originally done to process Provident Fund transactions. Okay. So what we needed then to do once that was what we had was then to invest in how do you even put it in technical terms, customizing the Provident Fund IT that we had bought so that it can do social security transactions. That will cost you more, So these are the reasons, and yet, the SSNIT IT guys were flown to Malaysia
to study how it works,
to go and do due diligence, technical due diligence.
Okay. And
we still ended up where we are. And I heard today the current DG of SSNIT say that even the 72 million, by the time that we are done, we can expect it to be far more than that.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Evan, before we wrap up so that we talk about the implications and the options available, because you've been speaking to legal practitioners, so that we look at the implications and the options available for those who have been, well, you and I, who have been contributing to SSNIT. But in the face of these revelations, we've been also engaging private legal practitioner, like I said, Matic Bebu, on the position of the law or causing financial loss to the state, as well as what actions that SSNIT contributors could take, like I say, if they feel that this deal was wrong. Hear him now.
To the extent that so far from what you've read, there wasn't proper due diligence to ensure that we bought what was actually required, then we are talking about financial loss, because the Criminal Offences Act, that the financial loss provision, specifically mentions that when a person, okay, by his willful act, so either you intentionally or by omission, and that is where, so even if we can't prove that the officers involved deliberately bought this wrong equipment, at least we can rely on the omission. So if you fail to do proper due diligence to ensure that you buy the right equipment, then it means we are talking about financial loss. Okay? Yes. But the other side that has to be clarified is that we have to be sure that the money involved, also that's the money they use in paying, okay, is actually owned by the government. Because if it's just purely private funds, they may want to set up an argument that it wasn't government funds. But then it's not easy for them to totally get off the hook to.
Martin Pebo is a private legal practitioner there speaking earlier. Evans, so this is what he has to say about what options are available. But then you've not just spoken to him, you've spoken to some people who have actually defended this. You've also spoken to people who say that this is way above, it's like, what's the expression? It's just not coming, but it's like, it's expensive. That's basically what everybody, a lot of people who are bashing SSNIT think. Take us through how the story has progressed and where it is at the moment and where it's likely to go, talking about financial loss, etc.
So what we know is that IOCO is looking into this. There are people who are facing questions surrounding this. And so that's where we are now. But in terms of the questions about whether there is causing financial loss, the lawyers have to deal with that. But I guess their reasoning is, why is it that we went into a 10-key agreement and yet ended up paying more to the tune of 72 million, minus 34 million? That's almost twice more than we originally had signed for. If it's proven that somebody's negligence caused that, then maybe they suggested some legal action needs to be taken. Okay,
but this is the story that we're still following up on. So we'll bring you much more on that. Always time has a way of shutting us up some way, somehow. Evans, thank you very much for coming. Evans Mensah is head of our political desk here at JoyNews, but on this particular case, he's been digging into those voluminous documents.